Why does my brain just shut off as soon as the camera turns on? Like the conservative townspeople in my brain are just like, oh no. Hi everyone, welcome back to Ask an Engineer. I'm Al Eastler. That's correct, that's true. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how to make space in your mix, which is a common concern, but without doing too much processing. If you like these videos and you would like us to keep preaching our super technical, super niche gospel to the world, then please don't forget to like and subscribe. To me, this immediately brings to mind the concept of arrangement. I think I've mentioned it before. I'm certainly an adamant proponent that mixing is just an extension of arrangement, and a really well-arranged track is just going to mix itself. Does everything need to be there? So the first thing I would reach for is a mute button. And bring in one thing at a time, little by little, and just kind of stop when you feel that the mix is full. If you add one more thing, it'll kind of spill over and start to feel crowded. And just see where that's kind of sitting and whether or not you need to add anything else. Another way, if you don't feel like getting rid of parts, but you still feel like they're conflicting, I would look at the ranges that things are playing in. So all your instrument ranges, especially if you're composing on a keyboard, there's a tendency for a lot of people just hover around middle C no matter what instruments they're putting in. So everything sort of clumps up in that same little frequency range. So just moving parts up or down an octave can create a bunch of space. If you're composing with MIDI, this is super easy. It's just a matter of a couple of seconds, transpose it up, transpose it down an octave. And just hear how it sounds, hear if that sort of gets the puzzle pieces to fit together. Beyond arrangement, this is another thing that I think I've talked about before, but using volume automation. Every DAW has it. It's just the very basic, unsexy fader moves, but they're super important in terms of creating space in a mix, for me. If your mix is just static, and you sort of have to have everything pretty loud to sort of capture and maintain the listener's attention. But if you have things kind of coming in, moving back, and you're sort of automating as you go, you're able to introduce an element, the listener will tune into it, and then you can just kind of push it into the background a little bit more. And that makes room for something else to come forward. So it's using that front to back dimension to have things present themselves, move back. And it's that constant interplay kind of opens up space in the mix along that axis. So then the last thing I would want to bring up, which touches on EQ, but it's more of a mindset thing. When you EQ, make sure to do it in context. So there is a tendency to solo an instrument, EQ it so that it sounds really good, and then go on to the next instrument in solo, EQ that. And the tendency there is to make everything sound impressive. When you try and fit a bunch of impressive things back together, there's going to be a lot of conflict. So EQing in context, making sure you're listening to the entire track as you're trying to EQ any one element in it, will let you go as far as you need to go with EQ. It's not about making that one element sound amazing on its own. It's about fitting everything together. So some things are just going to have to be background elements. To make them fit, you might need to be a little bit more aggressive with the EQ in terms of cutting out low frequencies, pulling out mid-range, cutting highs, so that when you solo it, it might sound a little bit wonky, it might sound a little bit thin or a little bit odd, but that doesn't matter. It's really only how it sounds within the context of the whole mix. Hey everyone, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more of them, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and feel free to leave any questions you have in the comment section below.